The new season is here, and once again, we're faced with the same old dilemma. You just can't decide which hero pick for ranking up. It's always a tough choice, isn't it? You want someone strong, reliable, and maybe even fun to play, but figuring out the perfect champion can feel like an endless challenge. Confused about who's ruling the Land of Dawn these days? No worries, this video's here to help. I'll show you the top picks that are crushing the meta so you can jump in and start winning. Before we dive in, make sure to drop a like and hit that subscribe button. Let's get straight to it. The first hero I want to talk about is Badang. This hero started shining first of all after his buff. They added more control to his ultimate. Stun duration went from 0.6 to 1 second, and his cooldowns were adjusted for better balance. Now, his enemies are stunned more often and for longer. And let's face it, crowd control in this game is basically a free ticket to victory. I've got to mention that Thunderbelt is a must-have for him. It works perfectly with Badang's first skill, making it super easy to stack. This gives him insane survivability in fights, extra damage, and a slow effect. It makes him one of the toughest and most annoying opponents to deal with in the lane. The next hero made a splash after M6. It's Joy. Joy is a highly mobile hero with massive damage potential from her ultimate. She clears both her own jungle and the enemies incredibly fast, making her a great pick for quick farming. On top of that, she can easily join a gank or escape from being camped thanks to her speed and flexibility. Don't forget, if you want to play Joy effectively, you need to get the rhythm just right, and that's easier said than done. But once you master hitting the beat perfectly, your skill level will skyrocket. Now let's move on to the next hero, and that's Hilda. This hero performs well both in the roam and on the X-plane. She can easily pressure her enemies and quickly invade the enemy jungle, making her a constant threat. Thanks to her passive, she heals herself in the bushes, so she doesn't need to return to base, allowing her to dominate the map. She also has crowd control and a slow, which makes it hard for enemies to escape from her quickly. On top of that, her passive marks enemies, lowering their defense, which lets her deal even more damage. So, if you're looking for a new main, definitely consider giving this hero a try. Another top-tier hero is Harth. This champion has shown his strength in the gold lane, and despite the nerfs, he's still holding his own. Once he hits level 4, he's unstoppable in the lane, making him a great pick against most marksmen. But he has a hard time with crowd control, so if you're thinking of picking Harth, don't forget to take Purify. Another thing that sets him apart is that he gains shields from his jumps, which gives him great survivability. If you're looking for an item build for Harth, I've put it up on the screen for you. For the mid lane, Vexana could be a great pick. This is a mage with destructive damage and crowd control. She is great against tanking enemy picks. While Vexana's damage and utility are incredible, she is relatively immobile, making her vulnerable to high-burst assassins or heavy crowd control. Positioning and map awareness are key to maximizing her potential in matches. If you're looking for a mage who can control the flow of team fights and deal consistent damage, Vexana is a hero worth mastering. Now let me tell you about a hero who's performing really well right now, and that's Granger. You can effectively use him both in the gold lane and in the jungle. After the revamp, his strong point is that he can deal significant damage to enemies from a long distance, and his skills practically have no cooldown. Compared to other marksmen, he has the highest mobility thanks to his dash and items. Also, thanks to his passive ability, everything you build for cooldown reduction gets converted into physical damage. For the X-plane, my advice is to consider Glue. He's currently one of the strongest X-planers out there. Glue is one of the tankiest and most annoying champions in the Land of Dawn. Very few can stand up to him, and ignoring his crowd control is almost impossible. I think you know that his counterpicks are Vexana, with her passive ability, and Faramis, thanks to his second skill. They can even one-shot him. I've also noticed that not many people know this, but if an enemy Glue latches onto your ally, don't attack him. Doing so will damage your teammate, and could end up getting them killed. Keep this in mind. Now let me talk about another hero who's also really effective right now, Zukin. She was overpowered as soon as she was introduced to the game, and now, with her second skill no longer consuming mana on creeps and minions, she's practically unbeatable. She has crowd control abilities that allow her to pull enemies airborne, deal devastating damage, and she has a shield and a flicker on her ultimate. All this makes her one of the best mid laners in the current meta. That's why Zukin is either a ban or a pick. I'll say it right away. This hero is mechanically complex and not suitable for beginners, as each skill has two phases with different uses. He can dodge crowd control, has both ranged and melee damage, and is highly mobile. His first skill provides crowd control in an area, and he also has high damage, allowing him to take down key targets like enemy mages or marksmen. It's also important to note that by level 3, all of his abilities are unlocked, and he has low cooldowns. On top of that, he has high survivability for an assassin. If you're looking for a strong pick in the gold lane, Irithyll is a good option. Irithyll's got high critical damage, and with her first skill, she reduces the enemy's defense, letting her deal more damage than other marksmen. Her second skill also slows down her opponents, which works to her advantage. Of course, she depends on farming and performs best in the late game. This means there's a risk that she might get shut down in the early stages. But if you help her farm, she'll eventually tear through the enemy's defenses, and before you know it, you'll have won the game. She's a very easy marksman to master, so if you're unsure who to pick for the gold lane, my advice is to consider Irithyll. And if you need an item build for her, you can see it on the screen. Let's talk about another hero who performs well in any pick, Matilda. She's a highly mobile tank support who grants mobility to her teammates, allowing for both aggressive gameplay and being elusive on the battlefield. Matilda pairs well with both assassin junglers like Suyu, Karina, and Nolan, as well as fighter junglers like Alpha or Fredrin, providing them with extra escape options and boosting their mobility. She also provides additional shields and healing for her team, enhancing their survivability during fights. Overall, Matilda's versatility, mobility, and support abilities make her one of the top choices for players looking for a tank who can both engage and protect their team in any situation. Right now, I'd also like to highlight some other heroes who are quite pickable and useful in the current meta across various roles. The current meta has a lot of strong picks that can suit different strategies, so it's all about finding the right balance for your team. Be sure to hit that like button and drop your thoughts in the comments. Your support means a lot, and I'm glad you're watching my videos. Good teammates, and see you on the lands of Dawn.